Hello. Wonder if anyone's even watching yet. I was trying to send a tweet to announce this, and I don't know, wasn't really working well. Let's see who's in the stream. I thought I saw some people here, but now they're not there. All right, it is early, and I can't tell if this thing is making noise. If this mic cord is also. I guess you guys hear that. I'll try not to move that thing. It's 2:57 in LA. Well, I'm in Irvine, so California. So it's early, but this is normal time for me. Usually, I was actually up at 2 a.m. It just took me like an hour to get myself motivated enough to get out of bed. All right, so the goal today is to annoy the people in the rooms next to me because my voice is deep and probably travels through the walls. And two, to get, I was working on Pixel Vision 8 components yesterday. Oh, why is that making noise? That's strange. All sound. First off, that shouldn't have made any noise. And second, why isn't sound going out through this? Writer should be muted. As long as this, oops. All right, as long as my mic is going through there, that's fine. Okay. Blah. All right, so I was working on this guy yesterday. And what I want to do is I think in order to wake up, what we're going to do is let's work on this dial, this knob a little bit more and see if we can get this working the way that it should. I was going to do this all by hand, but I don't think that's a good idea anymore. So what I want to do is create a mask real quick. All right, so the way that we should be able to do this is I should be able to use the pencil, and we're going to draw out a mask. And so CastPixel designed some new type of UI that I don't actually have in Pixel Vision 8 at all. And what I wanted to do was isolate the knob itself and create the sprite just for that, so I can put it on whatever background I need, and we can optimize this a lot. And I don't think I'm going to build this first. I'm probably going to do buttons first, but I wanted to get this prep work out of the way because this is probably, it's one of the more components, and one of the more complicated components just visually, not mechanically. This should actually work just like a slider. And we'll probably add in some basic slider stuff too. I don't know if we have up and down states and stuff like that for the slider. All right, so my goal is, my goal here is to do twofold. I'm going to take this guy and we're going to create a FF00FF, a mask. Oops, it's locked. Oops, let's invert that selection and mask that off. So, all right, so this is what the knob is going to look like. And what we're going to do is create that sucks. 350. I'm going to do this sort of by hand and then rename each one and then rename it all again like I did before. Not fun. All right, so this is going to be a little bit of prep work, but we'll do that to warm up. Usually when I get started, what I like to do is just like a little activity for like 25 minutes or so. I have a feeling this is going to take a little bit longer, but it needs to get done anyway, so let's just get it out of the way. And I just use it to like wake up my brain. I mean, literally I rolled out of bed and just started live streaming. So yesterday afternoon I had a pretty good audience. So my plan is to, I'm going to go into work early and leave early. I sort of have a lot of control over my schedule. So I'd like to come back later today in the afternoon and finish up some of this UI work. A big thing of what I'm doing, so if you're not familiar with Pixel Vision 8, this is my little game engine, and I'm in the process of rebuilding all the designs because Cass Pixel and I have been working on all new designs. Right, so let's merge this. I'm just gonna do this slowly. I would like to do this a lot faster, but I don't know why Photoshop does it this way, but it doesn't matter. All right, we'll merge these guys. And what we should do is, as we go down, let's just make sure that this works correctly. And we'll merge all these guys. We'll get this knob ready, and I'll show you in a little bit what I'm actually doing. I just want to finish one task, and then once I get these knobs ready, I'll show you sort of how this is going to play out into the new design. But the new, oh man, the new sound effects tool looks so amazing. Cass Pixel like literally went out of her way and created. We have such a great UI now that's like a very nice mix between like retro, like physical looking buttons, and it's all pixel art. I forget what they call skeuomorphic, I believe is what it's called. Like that's like the original like iPhone, how like things sort of look like physically like tactile, like the real world. So we have like a skeuomorphic pixel art design for stuff. And I've never seen anything really like it, and I'm very excited because one of the things that I want Pixel Vision 8 to do is be one of, like, I feel like all the fantasy consoles right now are literally just copying Pico 8, and that's like fine, I guess, but Pico 8 to me is very much like DOS, and I grew up with Macs, and I wanted Pixel Vision 8 to feel like a Macintosh, and like there's no command line, it's all drag and drop, it's very, I want it to be like very user friendly, and most importantly, just like high visual fidelity. I think Pixel Vision 8 has one of the highest resolutions for the fantasy game consoles out there. So the goal with this UI is to really show off how awesome that is. I'm getting bored. This is the worst part. Once I get this stuff, once I get all these graphics like prepped, it shouldn't be too hard for me to implement. I think what we'll try to do is we'll try to do sliders first this morning, and then maybe this. I don't know why I'm so obsessed with this knob, but I think it's more because it's I think I'm just more worried to make sure that it works. Because there's a lot of, no pun intended, like moving parts to make this guy work. Yep, this is the exciting life of prepping artwork for UI. Doesn't get much more exciting than this. I don't expect a lot of people to even be watching at this hour. Well, definitely there's no one in the US watching. It's 5 a.m. If you're up now, then, or 6 a.m., that's probably not a good sign. I don't know why I can't sleep. Like, I've just never been good at sleeping. So many ideas. I definitely, like, I'm constantly creating stuff. I feel like, I've always felt like I'm like a shark, and if I stop creating stuff, like, I'll just die. Like, I have to always be doing something, or some project, or taking apart some hardware, or putting something together. Just like the way that my brain is wired. Though it definitely doesn't like doing this kind of prep work. All right, almost done. Then we just got to export these guys, and I just undid 2 of them for some unknown reason. Whatever. I was hoping to make it out to Laguna Beach tonight to have dinner, but I don't think I'm going to do that. Actually, I really, like, I'm so obsessed right now with trying to get this Pixel Vision 8 cleaned up and ready to go. All right, so all these knobs are good to go. All right, so I'm gonna save this knob PSD. Let me save this as references. Oh, okay, good, it is in there. All right, so let's just save that there. And then we're gonna export all of the layers to files. This should already be set to, let's do System Tools, Sprite Builder. And I want to go into this folder real quick, and we're going to delete all the old ones. We'll just create a new project and delete this. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to output all of these layers. Visible layers only, PNG. Let's run this guy. So the last 2 weeks, we're learning C# now and we're ready to jump into Unity. Any advice on learning the engine and the Unity scripting API? Hey Draco, I always feel like really uncomfortable plugging myself, but what I'd say is, I don't know if you have access to lynda.com. I think there's like a free trial, but you can, if you go on lynda.com, I have like tons of videos that literally walk you through all of Unity, how C# works in it. Some of them are a little outdated because Unity just like keeps releasing new versions. But if you go to like lynda.com and search for Jesse Freeman, I mean, there's tons of tutorials and stuff out there, right? Like, so I'm not the only source on it, but what I would say is that, I mean, look, I've done like 29 courses and stuff, but there's some really good. I'm trying to find where the beginning class is. Like, I have one here like called like building an adventure game and level design, and these two sort of work together. There's C# for Unity game development, which will teach you C# inside of Unity. There's some other stuff here like how to learning how like sprites work, how to render to textures, like draw stuff in textures. I got UI classes, and then I like pure C# stuff, like how to design frameworks and how to do C# refactoring. So there's like tons of courses there, which is that's at least the stuff that I know is good. But you know, a lot of it's just go in and play around with it. Problems like so much of it changes from like version to version that it's like so hard to keep track in Unity. I have to apologize for the mic quality. Usually my mic doesn't pick up like every single thing that I do, or I can mute it easily. This one I can't. I'm in a hotel and I'm live streaming from my hotel. All right, so I had to do this yesterday. I'm going to do it again. I just have to manually rename all these things, but it's fine. I can't do a batch rename because the problem is that the ending of the name is the angle of the oops, shit. Oops, I can't curse. I'm gonna try not to curse. That's my goal for the streaming. We'll see how long that lasts. So right now I'm just going through. I just have to rename all these. Once I'm done renaming all them, this should be the last time I ever have to touch this. With one exception, I probably will have to go back in and just like change the colors, but I'll deal with that later. So what I need to work on this morning are palettes. I don't know how that's possible. Shoot. That means somewhere I screwed up and something has the same name. Three. I'm really confused. $320, $310. So $230. Just trying to make sure I got the right angle here because I screwed up. This one's 240, 340, 240, 230, 220. Hey. Elise is Alazi is deaf, so I usually have to just chat with him. All right, so I wonder what time I normally stream at. I normally stream at around 9, so that's 9, 8, 7, 6. So that'd be 6 a.m. here. I will not be here at, well, yeah, I'll probably have to end it at 6 a.m. because I'm going to the gym. I've been like doing really good. Like for the past like 2 months, I've been going to the gym like almost every other day. There's like a chain of gyms here in America. Well, they're actually all over the world, but it's called Orange Theory, and it's okay. It's not like the greatest thing. My wife didn't really like it at all, but I've been using it because it lets me whenever I travel, I can just book them wherever I go. So like last week I was in Seattle and I booked a bunch of sessions in Seattle. This week I'm in Irvine, so I've just been booking them in Irvine. So I just do it like every other day. So if you're just tuning in, I'm doing some like really boring prep work right now to get some UI stuff working. We're gonna move over into buttons next, and we'll do some palette stuff, which I need to do. But yeah, so a lot of what I'm doing is some new UI stuff. The goal is to build out, this is the tool that I want to build first, which is Pixel Vision 8's new settings tool. So I need 5 components. I need this volume, this mute button, which is a toggle button, these sort of arrow buttons, which are just regular buttons, checkboxes, and input fields. I already have input fields working. So if we came here and I need to I basically have input fields working so far for the most part. There's a lot of stuff that is broken in this, and I'm just going to start adding in these things. So, okay, we're almost done. But guys, if you have questions and stuff, you want to chat, be friendly, feel free to chat in the window. I'll do my best to pay attention and talk back. I just want to get this stuff into the sprite sheet and see how it optimizes. So now we have all the angles. What I'm going to do is use Texture Packer Pro, drag these guys onto here, and we're going to create an index file. Actually, let's keep it as 34. 128, 512. 512 smooth. I want get rid of rotation. There's no identical sprites. There's another one where I can do squared or something, and I can't remember. I want no trim. Power of 2. There we go. And then there should be a algorithm basic. Sorting by name, ascending, best. Okay, that's what we're going to do. So we're just going to export this guy out. And in the references, I had a knob sprites PNG. I think it's like the Beavis and Butthead in my brain, where like every time I hear knob, I just sort of laugh to myself. I'm assuming everyone who's watching is in Europe. Is there anyone from the States still watching? Tired. Let's close out some of this stuff that we don't need. We don't need this guy anymore. We'll save this. We're going to get to the button states next. Crunch. All right, I'll have to take a look at that one. Where am I? References. This chair is like really uncomfortable. Oh, I have to like do my stretches this morning. I'll do it before I go to the gym. Sprites knob. Let's just open this guy up. Perfect. All right, I'm gonna put all these guys down here a little bit more. So let's save this PNG. We'll save this into our folder as our sprites. We'll go back into Pixel Vision 8, and now when we go into did something to my finger and it like hurts. All right, so it sort of optimized this. There's a lot of different ways I can optimize. But you see it took all those sprites and it just literally compressed them down into here and removed all the duplicates. We'll also do the builder, which will give us, if I come into here, it should give us all the knobs. Perfect. All right, so all the knobs are here. Everything is good. And now we can start. I want to work on some palette stuff. So here's sort of what I'm thinking of doing. I'm going to pull out, well, we'll leave this right here, but I'm hoping I can get all the colors and everything into 64 colors. And we're going to have to sort of organize this. I'm going to create a PSD that is going to represent the it's going to represent the palette. So we're going to do this. We're going to have a input palette. So active, inactive, and we're going to pick well, that's the background. There should be is that the background color? I'll do this tan for right now as the inactive color for the text. Do I have that reference? Hold on, let me look here. We have so much stuff. I don't think she gave me a I don't think I have a disabled text. What does it look like if where the hell did that get pasted to? Oh. Ugh, I missed Spotify's. There's actually like 2 songs that I found the other day that I actually have been really liking. So let's just. Yeah, we'll do those 2 songs. All right, so let's see here. What I wanted to see was what that gray looks like. I don't think it's going to be dark enough. I think if I know Cast Pixel well enough, she's probably going to want me to use this. Yeah, see, man, her palette's so good. We spent so long working on this palette. All right, so what we're doing is I'm going to break up the colors into sort of these palettes here. And what I got to figure out next is, let's do this. Let's see if we can take this. And I need to come up with a color map. A color map allows me to basically set sprites to a certain position in the color memory, and then I can adjust them a little bit easier. What I want to do is set this to grayscale. And let's go here and let's sort by hue. Yeah, that's not going to work. I think what we'll do, Cast Pixel designed this really great flags color, and we're going to use those as the color mask. So where is, let's save this here. I'll put this in references. And what we're going to do is over here, we're going to do a color map. This will sort of make sense in a minute. I'm going to show you guys how I do this. It's a more advanced technique in it's a more advanced technique in Pixel Vision 8, but it allows me to like really change what's going on here? Ah, that sucks. All right, let's do this. Let's put this guy here, and I'll just draw them. What's happening is that these are 8 by 8 because they're flags for the tile map. So here's the color map. What we're going to do is just basically move all of these colors over here. And then I'll show you with the input text how this is going to work. But basically what we're going to do is we're going to use these like really like strong colors to color the components. In the past I've used grayscale, but it's like really hard to tell unless they're like, we're going to see in the how many colors a lot of these things do. Luckily, I think I'm only going to need 8 colors. I don't think her stuff uses anything more than that. So we'll play around with this. But the long story short, this is the color map. Because what we're going to do with the color map is we need to put the color map here. And I want to see a few things. The problem is I have to really think through this. If I don't sort by luminosity, sort by hue. All right, we'll leave it as this. Because like if I go through her stuff, let's see here. Let's look at like the knobs, for example. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4 colors. I really don't think many of her. I don't think a lot of her stuff even uses more than that many colors. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. So good. All right. Because what I'm thinking is that I could probably just come up with 8 pretty good colors in grayscale and just see if they're clear enough. We can just do grayscale, so it's easier to see. Grayscale. I don't know why I'm overthinking this, honestly. We're going to try doing grayscale for right now, and see what happens. Wait, I want to do it as every other. So we go there. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 4, 5, 2. I have like really bad memory. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Six. So your problem is like those 6. Seven. I screwed this up somewhere. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right, we'll see if we can get away with these. I don't know if I really need any more than this. 7 colors. I mean, maybe I need an 8th somewhere, but the problem is like a lot of these grays are very close to each other. So, all right, let's stop talking about this and I'll show you guys what I'm trying to do here. Let's get rid of this. Let's get rid of this. And now let's look at our input font. So what I did originally was I mapped it to these first 2 colors. We're going to map it to these 2 colors right here. And we're going to so basically, once we get these colors grayscaled, these will map to this gray and this black and this darker gray. And underneath it, the real color will wind up being these 2. And then if I shift it over to, it'll become the disabled. And then these will represent all of our input palette, and then we'll start moving over to buttons and take a look at how those work. All right, so let's save this. Let's output. So right, I'm going to get rid of, what I want to do is I want to make the image crop. I want to make one set of colors. So let's save this into system colors, PNG, replace. I'm going to save this, and now I just need to save out the color map. Color map. So I use the color map a lot when it's like, if let's say I'm building something like a Game Boy game and it's going to be like grayscale, but it really, the system colors are really green. I'll do all the colors to a color map, and then then the real colors just sort of swap out. I don't know. I have to figure out a better way to explain this. I think at some point I'm just going to do proper palettes in the engine. But now if I refresh this, it should work. Yeah, look, okay. So what happens is if we come here, I'll show you in the colors sort of what happens here. So we come into the colors, and what we're seeing is that these are the palettes, right? These are the main system colors. The index those first, then these are the palettes in memory. And if we look at the map, you'll see that this black goes to this purple, this dark gray goes to this white, and blah, blah, blah. All right, so that means that now if we come over here to the font, and we'll take like this guy here. If we change the offset to 2, you'll see it now looks disabled because I've shifted the colors over 2 spaces. So now, since this is finalized, what we're going to do is let's go into our game. All of our text is going to disappear because it's out of color memory. What I need to do is, first off, let's just fix this real quick. So we're going to set the offset to 0, 0, 0, 0, and the disabled color is going to be set to 2. And what I want to see is there should be a way to enable. I'm going to disable the volume input so we can take a look. Let's set this to false. All right, so now if I reload this up, you'll see that we now have the text is disabled and then our other text is correct. So I'm going to bake this into the actual, see, like, I got so much crap here. All right, let's look at the input field. And I believe the input field builds off of the text area. So let's go into the text area. And it should have a color offset, which is 0, and a disabled color. We're going to set this to 2. And we're just going to have this built into all the components moving forward. So now I don't ever have to redo this. So we can get rid of this. We can get rid of this. We can get rid of this. And we can get rid of this. All right, cool. So text still works. Everything looks good. That's disabled, and we should be good to go. Let's remove this disabled thing here. And our text is back and enabled, and perfect. All right, so now that we're starting to get the basic palette in place, what we need to do is figure out the input button. I'm going to close this for right now because we don't need it. And I'm going to, we need sprites, all the UI stuff, fine. I want to look in this folder and see if, so like, this is, going back to those knobs, this is the new sound effects tool. I mean, look at how awesome that looks. It's going to be so good when I build it. And then what we're going to do is all this stuff is going to be palette shifted. So when something is disabled, I'm just going to shift all the colors for these areas. She had this like on-off switch, which I thought was really cool. That's what mute should be. We spent a lot of time working on this. What I'm trying to find, though, as interesting as this is, we had some text that had shadows in them, but I can't remember where the hell we put that. All right, we don't have that. So let's just do this. Let's go to button states and let's look at our buttons. There are 2 different types of buttons. And in fact, what I want to do is, let's put this here and I want to find the reference to the original thing. So where's the backup? Sprites. I think we should start with the sliders because, well, I don't know. Sliders should only have 2 states, so they're probably going to be the easiest to work with. And they'll define some of the basic colors for regular buttons anyways. So I don't know. I'm just trying to think of where I want to start because there's a lot of states here, and I don't remember what. That's disabled. disabled buttons are basically all the same. This is up. This is over. See, she has two different style sliders. I think one's a scroller and one's a slider. I need to go back and fix. This is selected. And this is right. She gave me a different option for. I'm so confused. What did she do here? Oh, I see. She did change. So this and this go together. I think these are the, like, if this is merged, that's selected. And this is selected over. All right, a lot of palettes we're going to have to create. I'm going to start with what I got to figure out is, let's start with sliders. Or maybe, I don't know why, why am I like just going back and forth and I can't like make a single decision this morning? All right, let's do this. I'm gonna take a quick like 10-minute break and then I'm gonna come back and then we're gonna sit down and just approach this problem. So let's do this. I'm gonna open up this thing. We're gonna take a what time is it now? So why am I even doing Eastern time? Let's just do, it's yeah, so 3, 4, 5, so it's 6. We're gonna do a 15-minute break. That should give me enough time to like go blow my nose and just like wake myself up. So let's do, I'm gonna be back at 7 a.m. Eastern, which is roughly like 15 minutes. And then we're gonna go in and we'll do everything else. So I'll be right back. All right, I'm back. Oh, excuse me, I didn't mean to burp. Well, I meant to burp. I didn't mean to burp so loudly. I hate that I don't have an easy mute button on this little mic. Oh, my stomach. Okay, so I think what I decided to do is I'm going to start with the slider button. And there's going to be there's two versions of this button. Basically, the way that it works is there's a blue one and a yellow one. And we're going to start with a slider because the slider is the easiest one since it's just one graphic and I don't have to deal with all the text stuff just yet. So we'll do the slider button, which is just a regular graphic button. We'll do the tabs and the other things here. We'll try to get these all working. All right. So if you're just tuning in, I'm creating new UI for Pixel Vision 8, which is my fantasy game console. So we're going to start with the disabled state. And as far as I understand, I believe all of these all share the same states, but let's do this. Let's go to sprites. All right, I'm trying to like wrap my head around this because this is like not an easy thing to do. So what we're gonna do is let's do this. Let's pull this guy out. We're gonna pull this graphic out first. And we're gonna go over to our sprites here and we're just gonna put this here. And so I use magenta as transparency in Pixel Vision 8. If I'm understanding this correctly, it should be this and this. This stinks. I think this button is 1 pixel too big. I'll have to talk to Christina about that. So I'm gonna do this for right now. She's gonna not like this. Wait, let me see here. Hold on. This is 16. That's 24. I want to make this guy 24. I'm pretty sure I want it to be. Because this is 24 by 16. All right, so let me. Let's do this. Let's create a new. In this system tool, create a new file, and we're going to call this tasks. Text. So need to make slider handles 24, 16 by 24 or 16 by 24. All right, we'll just leave it at that. I got to make some notes that I got to hand back over to Christina. Because one of the big problems right now is that this button is too big. So let's see if we can. 1, 2. That might actually fix it. Perfect. All right, that fixes it. Hopefully, that's not a big deal. So what we'll do here is oops. 1, 2. And let's make sure that this is 6. All right, we got to look through this one. But this one, that's 24. All right, so this one might actually be correct. No, it's off by 1. Not cool. All right, so we'll have to move it up by 1, and I'll ask Christina what she wants to do about that. All right, so I think that's what we're going to do for these slider buttons. And we'll just move them over together and then up. All right, so that's our slider. And the reason why I'm doing this right now is we're going to cut this out. And we're going to save this guy, and I need to find out what its name needs to be. I'll put it into the sprite builder folder. So now here, if I look at SB sprites back, there should be like a horizontal slider up. Because I think that I don't think I was doing this correctly. I think I definitely I'm gonna have to. God. All right, it's fine. Whatever. I'm just like, this is like so many little details that I have to take care of right now that I really just don't want to be doing. But in order to build out all this UI correctly and have it be like very optimized, we're gonna have to do. We just have to. It's just a lot of work. A lot of work that goes into this stuff. All right, so I now have those two saved. What I want to do is let's run. If you guys are just tuning in, I see like a lot more people are starting to watch now. I'm working on, I'm redoing all this UI for Pixel Vision 8, which is my fantasy game console. So Cast Pixel created some really awesome designs, and I just have to go through and build out all this stuff all over again and reskin it. Oh, I'm not saving I didn't save the sprites PNG. So I'm just going through, and it's just a very long and tedious process of bringing all the graphics over and then remapping them to palettes and setting up all the palette stuff, but we'll get there. The goal is that once the UI stuff, see now all of a sudden, now you can see the buttons are loading up. Once all the palette stuff is set up, this is going to be like super easy to knock out. Like even if I look at all the screens that I have to build, like if I wanted to do like this is the new, don't resolve. This is like the new color picker one that we've been like working on. Like this UI will take me like literally no time to build. So like I should be able to knock out these tools really, really quick. I think the only tools that are like more complicated, the most complicated tool, I haven't shown anyone this. Let's just keep it as our secret. The really cool one is, hold on, I was just I gotta move another window over so I can see what the hell's going on. Is this guy, which is the new file system. Shh. The new file system is going to be like all drag and drop, and it's going to be like perfect. So that one's going to take me some time to build, but everything else, like even the music tool, I have everything built, and all it'll be is just like these keys, which are just buttons, and I just have to build this track thing at the top, which is this new track editor that lets you create, like lets you loop together songs and build out like a full song. Anyways, majority of this stuff should be pretty quick to build, I'm hoping. All right, that being said, now that I'm procrastinating, what I want to do is let's see if we can just turn on the sliders. All right, let's do the builder, and then let's go here and let's find, we're gonna do the horizontal and the vertical sliders. And this is the slider logic, and then draw should automatically draw. All right. So, look at that. It's off. There's no like upstate either, but that's pretty sweet. I mean, I built this UI, these UI components to be very, like, they should be pretty robust. But that's super sweet. All right. So the first thing we want to do is, let's look at the slider for a second and take a look at what's going on in there. I haven't looked at this code in a long, long time. Maybe over a year. What I want to see is I can't remember what the slider handles are. I think they are buttons. Where's the draw stuff? Handle X, handle Y, these are the draw position, draw sprites. Sprite draw arguments. So the sprite draw argument should be here. So what I just need to figure out is that there should be like an up and an over thing. Color offset or 0. Somewhere around here I do some sort of state magic hocus pocus, and that's what I just got to figure out. Cache sprite up, cached sprites. That's what I'm looking for. Where is cached sprites disabled? Up and over. So I think what happens is that internally I use this thing called the sprite name, and then it goes through and it builds out create data, which is part of the UI. So let's make sure that this stays open. Then there should be like a UI framework class or something. I had to throw everything into one project, so I'm a little bit lost. Toolbars, utility, sprites, SB sprite saves, Pixel Vision OS. Editor UI, that's what I'm looking for. Editor UI. So the editor UI, when it creates data, it's going to create a cache of the different sprite states, which are these right here. So what we have to figure out, what I'm going to wind up changing here is that this this old system really relied on slicing up the sprites independently. And I could still do it this way. This would save me like a lot of time. Maybe that's just what we do for right now. So like, let's just take a look at how this works. The problem is it just creates like a lot of sprites. Maybe what we do is we just get rid of this stuff here and then I just rebuild it. All right, so like the way that we could do this is this. We could set pass nil into here. And just get rid of this automation stuff. So what we would do is build out something like this. So we would do local but sprite data would be this. And then up over selected, because like this guy only needs 3 states. There is no such thing as selected. Right, so I don't think I use empty either. These are the 3 states, and then what I would do is something like this. It would be, I would do something like over dot color offset equals like 4 up be like 4 8, and the disabled is always going to be the default color, because we're going to start with the palette of disabled as the first 4 colors, and then we'll go from there. All right, so I want to do a quick test to see if this blows up on my face. All right, so it is still working. What you're seeing now is that it's just shifting the colors. So there's like if I set the color offset to 0 and 0 and redid it, everything should just work as is. And then when you roll over, so like I said, I'm not stupid. I built a pretty robust system here. It's just a matter of the fact that I haven't looked at this code in over a year. I just got to like get my head around it. Okay, this isn't going to be as bad as I thought it was going to be. So here's what I want to do. I want to rename some of this stuff. So let's go into the sprite builder, and we're just going to do, now that we don't need to do this like up and over crap, we're just going to call this V slider handle and horizontal handle. And we can go into the sprite builder file and we'll just fix this quick. And go to the slider. And now we just need the sprite name. There we go. Okay, so all right, so I think this is, so here, set up sprite states, configure state color offsets. Because like, let's change this to like 2 or something, and it should show us a, it's not going to be perfect because I haven't mapped it yet to the palettes. I don't think over. I don't think the color palette stuff is working correctly. I may not be setting that. Change slider. I think it's the sprite data is the problem. So what we need to do is, instead of looking at the sprite data, we need to look at the I have a utility for copying a table, I think. So let's do this. Let's see if we can do a table clone. So what you're seeing is I'm changing the color offset on this state, but all of them are referencing the same states, and it's not going to work. So what we need to do is just clone this table. Lua is sort of like a weird language, and I don't really like it, but yeah, it doesn't like that. Attempt to perform arithmetic on a nil value. Slider 57. I don't remember how I used this clone. Table unpack source. Let me do a quick find inside of this and figure out where the hell I use clone. Edit, find, view, edit, find, in project, clone. Table.clone. All right, slider, action bar. Sprite IDs. Oh, okay, it's not going to do a nested table. All right, so let's do it this way. This is a stupid mess. How do I want to clone these tables? Oh, I see what it's doing. No, this should work fine. Slider. Oh, am I an idiot? Am I looking at the same? Yeah, no, I want to look here. There we go. That's what I needed to do. Okay, so let's go to the slider here, and we're going to change this around a little bit. We're going to take this data here, and we're going to create, that's what we're going to do. We're going to create the data ahead of time, and then we'll let the engine piece this all back together. That was the other paradigm that I did. So I wanted it all to be, so if we don't actually have the right sprite data, we're going to make global tables that sort of emulate that. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this sprite name, we're still going to pass this sprite name up in here, and this will be up, which will be the same in the color offset. And we need disabled. So we'll start with disabled. Up will just be 2, and then over will be 4. We're using the same data. So what we're doing now is we're taking the name of the sprite that we passed in, and we're basically creating global objects that we can use for the framework to basically piece back together. So now if I relaunch this, here we go. There's like one skill that I've gotten really good at over the years, and that's debugging code. It's probably like the most important skill ever. Like it's allowed me to be able to, like, I can go into almost anyone's code and then backtrack and figure out how things are working in order to make sure that, like, I just know what I'm doing. But it's been able to allow me to, like, consult and go into other people's projects and clean things up, and also go back into my own stuff and remember how things work. All right, so now what we need to do is map these up to palettes. All right, the song is annoying me now. Okay, so let's do this. We're going to do the first set of color palettes. Let's go to button states. I feel like there's got to be a better way to do this. There we go. Ugh, I lose like a lot of... Alright, whatever. I don't need this tab. And I don't need this tab. I wish there was like a way to make this smaller. Panel options. It's funny, like there's so many like options that they add in Photoshop over the years, and like I never even go through and look at them. All right, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna create a new palette here for the slider buttons. And all we're gonna do is we're gonna call this yellow button palette. I believe is there. I always forget, like palette does have a E at the end. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to create disabled. So the first set of colors for the palette disabled, we're going to sort of work our way up the sprite. And what I want to see is there's one, what I want to make sure is that there is 1, 2, 3, there's 4 colors. So this should work out nice, hopefully. All right, we're going to take this, this, and this are going to be our colors, but we have to be very careful because what we want to do is, I'm going to do this below here just so we make sure we got this right. There's the shadow, the border, the inner piece, and the white. And the way that palette shifting works is that we set up a base palette, right? And then from the base palette, we just replace the colors. So we always want the shadow to be the same. So now if I look here, what winds up happening is that the shadow, this brown, like dark orange, brownish orange, becomes, when we look here, it becomes the shadow. The yellow becomes the blue, right? Because what will happen is that, right, anywhere we see that orange is going to become dark, and then the white is going to become, all right, so here's what we need to do. This becomes this, and this becomes this. And now the next palette that we want to sort out is going to be over. So we're going to start with the same deal, right? The shadow. Then this orange becomes this. The inside becomes this. And the white is inverted now and becomes this. And so that's the trick that Cast Pixel does. And that's like what's really subtle about these palette shifting is that you literally, to invert something, just flip the two, like the base color and the highlight color, and it inverts it in a way that gives you that nice highlight. And now as long as we map the buttons correctly to these four colors, they should all work. This might actually this might not take me as long as I thought it was gonna. I get these like moments where like I really start like worrying that it's gonna take me too long to build this crap. And then all of a sudden, within like a few hours, I have everything done. All right, so what we need to do now is let's go to the sprites. We're gonna take these two guys. Let's just merge these layers together so we can do this all in one shot. And what we're going to do is we're going to take this color and we're going to map it to black. We're going to take this brown and map it to this gray. We're going to take the inner track, map it to this gray, and take the outside and map it to the next gray. So it's going to be a little hard to see these buttons, but like again, this grayscale mapping stuff isn't like isn't like the final color, but what it's going to do is it'll make it easier for us to. All right, let's save this out. Put this as sprites. I also want to do this for the other ones I cut out, but let's do this. Let's get rid of the color map real quick, and we're going to save the colors now with our new palette. And now let's go into here, and we're going to open up this guy and this guy, and we'll just copy it over. So it's going to give us some. It's going to give us a problem because the it was set to index color, so we'll save it as RGB and then back out as indexed. references, sprite builder, replace. And let's go to mode, RGB color. And then we're going to save this back out and replace it. Okay, cool. So now, don't save. Don't save. We got sprites, colors. Trying to like cough and mute this stupid thing. Sorry. Normally, like my mic at home has like a really easy to hit mute button. The mute button on this, like I have to turn the whole damn thing off. All right, so let's see if this works. What we're gonna do is come back here, and we're gonna set these colors by default. So we need to set the first disabled to 4, 8, 16, and let's just preview this and make sure that it works. We can do that by going into, well, let's make sure we have all the colors. All right, so we have our palettes, we have our color map, and we'll go into the sprites tool. So here's the disabled color. What we're going to do is we want to set this actually to 4, which should give us disabled. 8's going to give us the yellow. And then 16? No, it's out of bounds. Oh, you know what it is? I think it's 4. There we go. 4. No, something's not right. Why? Let's go look at the math real quick. So that should be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 12. That's what I was doing. I was messing it up. Okay, we can test this out now on the in the actual game. So if I come here, we just need to shift this stuff over. So this is going to be 4, 8, 12. Math is good. I just wish I was good at it. There we go. So there's the inverse. That's a bug that I've had before, where if you roll over, the mouse doesn't switch back over. I need to get it where when the mouse is down, it no longer it doesn't interact with other fields. I have some of that logic in, but all right, and this guy's working good too. So you can sort of see how to have dynamic text to them. Even like these checkbox buttons, we can't do those as we can't do it as palette swapping. They have to be separate sprites. So that's why there is the notion in the engine where you pass it different. You could pass it to different sprite names, and it automatically tries to resolve it. This button here will be dynamically generated. That should be pretty straightforward. All right, so the other thing I wanted to try was I just wanted to see. Let's disable one of these. Let's disable one of these sliders. All right, well, when it's disabled, it just becomes invisible. trying to see why. If data equals nil or a value, the percentage. Change slider value. This is this the draw logic? That's update slider. So if I get rid of this real quick, that'll show the slider in the disabled state. So I have to all right, so that'll solve that problem. And I'll just refresh it. So whenever we disable these sliders, it'll just be like an empty bar. I don't like that. I was trying to think, just like, I should just before I move on, I should just clean this thing up. So let's do this. In focus sprite data over. That sets all the sprite data. What I just want to see is the focus stuff. So all we're going to do is we're only going to look for collision detection. We're only going to enable collision detection when the component is enabled, and that should give us a nice disabled graphic. Nope, I lied. Why did that not? Let's see if this does it. Basically what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to find the logic where I do the mouse interaction. Yeah, okay, so we always want this to be rendering at the right position. Why did removing this and putting it there break that? Huh? 154, line 154, data handle X, data value, size. All right, so we need to always calculate the size regardless of whether and this size thing should be something there's a lot of like little optimizations I could do for these components, which I'll get to later on. I've been meaning to go through and clean up the whole UI framework. There we go. All right, cool. So when it's disabled, it now shows the disabled thing. Perfect. All right, the next thing that I want to do is figure out there is some there's some math that I was doing here in order to put this track on the right side offset. So let's set this offset to 0 and just see if that puts it back on the track correctly for both of them. Nope. Make this 6 then. All right, 5. All right, the horizontal one we're gonna have to look at it later. The horizontal one doesn't, the vertical one doesn't sit on the track correctly, and it's also on my list to talk to Cast Pixel about. But that's something I can fix here. So what we need to do is get this thing to where it ends there and ends there. But I can deal with that stuff later. It's getting close enough. All right, so that's like a weird byproduct, right? Like these two sliders are designed to like be in sync with this one. And even though that one's disabled, it's still moving, which kind of bothers me, but it just means that visually, at least you know you can't move it. And I think there's another place where, excuse me, maybe the slider, that offset value. If horizontal is true, we apply the offset here. Let me see if I can just move this over a little bit more. I don't know, I'm doing something wrong with this horizontal slider. Because I feel like the track is too big. Let me go back and look at the PSD for the tile map. What I actually think should happen is that this should be here. If I look at this correctly, there's a 3 pixel on the top and 5 pixel to the right. So what I would do on this guy I would move this over 1, 2, 3, which should give me a 5 pixel to the right. Okay. Right, because the width, the wide side is 3 down. All right, that should now get this in line with the other one. What we'll do is we'll copy this. So let's save this, put this in the tile map PNG. Now I just got to update the sprites for this guy. 1, 2, 3. I used to do this by hand. So this will be 5, and then that's. I think yesterday my brain wasn't working. I had a long day yesterday. Although today seems like it's going to be another long day. Ooh. That should solve that too. Okay. All right, so I need to redo the sprite builder, I guess. How did that move? Oh, right, it did move over. Okay, I see. So this is the other. So like, what the reason I use the sprite builder is that I just added 3 new sprites here, and it shifted over all the sprites. So the sprite builder is going to go through that folder of of bigger sprites and just rebuild the index for me. So now if I come back in here and I go here. There we go. All right, so what's happening here is that this is getting cut off because it doesn't, I need to actually add another set of, this is sort of hacky, but this is what it actually is. This, what the hell are you doing? It's right up against the border, so it doesn't see the sprites correctly. So if I save this, replace, that's like an optional thing if any of these sliders are near a border. Because now in the tile map, what you see is this didn't know how to build this, how to find this sprite. Yeah, that'll get me what I need. And then those are like the edge cases. In fact, what we could do is create one for the other side. I love how Photoshop can't, like, it just can't figure out like selections if they're less than a couple of pixels. It like just literally gives up on you. I think what we're just going to do is I'll put these 2 together. Although I'm a bit concerned that it's not. Did I not copy that right? And let me just. Let's just redo this real quick. What I'm trying to do is I want to get these edge cases that if I ever put a slider right near the edge of the screen, which is probably going to happen a few times, that we cover them correctly. So we'll just put those guys like down here. The way it'll work is it'll be something like this. We'll have a how many different angles do I need to cover? You know, down. Sometimes I like overthink things a lot, where this could just be like something really simple. So this is the simple solution. I'll deal with other stuff later. Okay, so we'll save this, save this. Now I have that one edge and we'll be fine. If I come back here and I refresh it, I need to redo this sprite builder. After this, I'm gonna take a quick 5-minute break. I need to like stand. This chair is like so uncomfortable that I'm sitting in. Maybe the hotel has like a better chair. There we go. See how now it shows the border? So here we have this, and now what we should do is go back into here, and I shouldn't have to offset this by 3. It should now align to the track correctly. I think the only thing that I messed up is I think the track is too big. But maybe that's just in my head. Layer view, where's... select. Why? Where the view? Show grid. I'm just kind of curious why this is. All right, so that's the right size. So that means that and that's the right size, right? Am I? Something's not right with this thing sitting in the track. Why does it look so off to me? Maybe, you know what it is? It's the disabled state. I was like, why is there so much like shadow on this side? It's because it's disabled, and there's double shadow when it's disabled. So if I come in here and I get rid of this disabled call, there we go. Whew. All right, that looks good. All right, so this slides now somewhat correctly. I think I just got to do a better job of figuring out where the borders are for these sliders. Like, I don't think they're sitting in the... like, the way that this should work is that this guy should be here. And this should be here. And this should be here. My old one, I think, had like a little bit of like a lip to it. And this one should be a little bit more... That means I gotta redo this crap. Damn it. All right, so that's this one here. No. What are you doing, Jesse? Your brain is like shutting down. The border goes to the edge. So let's look here. So what it is this is the horizontal one. That goes there, and you go here. And this is vertical. So this goes up to there. Luckily, once I do this, I don't have to like do this again. And we go there. One more. One more pixel down. So if you're tuning in, I see that it keeps fluctuating between people coming and going, but I'm working on some new UI stuff for Pixel Vision 8, and it's just a lot of like cleaning up little like sprite, like there's a lot of like manual work right now, but once I get this stuff sorted out, I won't have to do it again, and my goal is to build out some new tools and everything a lot faster. All right, so let's do this. Let's save out the sprite sheet. Replace. Let's save out the tile map. Save, replace, and let's refresh this. And I guess maybe it did go over a little bit. I don't know. We'll have to look into this. Because now I'm like really confused as to why the slider isn't. This song is annoying the shit out of me. All right, so let's go here to go into the sprite editor, and I have to rebuild the sprite index. And let's run this. So what we should do is this. Let's take a screenshot here and a screenshot here. And what I gotta do is I was gonna map out the size of these sliders to what I'm actually doing in code to make sure that I'm not doing any stupid like offsetting stuff for the slider. But I think for the most part, like the sliders are working. The track is all me just drawing that stuff to the background. And I designed this in a way where like, I gotta like stand. I designed this in a way where the UI components will, they don't render backgrounds and borders. They're just the component itself. So there is an input here that's testing out. I have a feeling that this goes right to here. So let's go back in the tile map. I think this is the key right here. Like, let's move. Let's see. This goes here. This goes here. So if I save this, because the sprites are still the same, they're going to the edge, it should refresh and I shouldn't have to redraw everything. What we should wind up with is now, there we go. This slider goes in here, there's an extra drop shadow, and that's what we're getting. All right, perfect, that one's good. So I think I just need to add 8 more to this. So we'll save this, and that'll fix the alignment for the slider. And when I go to build the other tools, I'll look into how to clean this up a little bit more. Right now I'm just trying to get the bare minimum working. There we go. All right. So, all right. And then you can click anywhere into this slider value, and it should jump to it. That was weird. I don't know why. Sometimes, like, I just noticed, like, the mouse, like, lost its state. So I had one other thing. I might do this. All right, we're gonna do this. We're gonna take a quick 5-minute break, and then I wanted to see. CastPixel had a another state for like the cursor to be down. Screw it. Let's see if we can build it real quick. I just wanted to test it. She's so good. Like there's so much little like, I was saying this yesterday on the stream where hand down. Basically, like I worked with a Sane 11 who's one of the artists. He's half of Mini Boss Studio who did Celeste, and I was actually working with him when he was doing Celeste, but he got like so occupied with Celeste, rightfully so. But Celeste is way better than what I'm building. And we sort of built out the framework for what Pixel Vision 8 is now, but it just didn't have like a lot of character, and that's mostly because I was still building it while I was trying to tell Pedro Hussein 11 what I needed. And when I started working with Cast Pixel to like redo everything from scratch, we talked about adding like a lot of personality to Pixel Vision 8. So I felt like it didn't have any personality. And she's done so much good. Like these kind of like little details, like between the mouse button being down and changing the cursor, so it looks like you're actually pulling and dragging something, is going to make like, it seems small, it's going to make a huge difference. So let's look at the mouse cursor here. There should be a hand cursor. Let's do this. I'm going to put this here. The offset will be the same, but what I want to do is whenever we use the hand cursor, I think this is going to be in the editor UI stuff. Nope. Maybe it's in the Pixel Vision OS. Nope. Oh, I know why. There's a mouse cursor. These are indexes for the cursor state, so I now need to find, it's in editor UI. Let's close this out. Maybe not. Is it in the button? Oh no. Wait, I don't know what the hell I'm doing. God, see, this is what happens when I haven't looked at this code in like forever. These are the cursors. Cursor ID. There we go. All right, so update the cursor. I just got to remember what I was doing here. That clears the focus. That sets the cursor to 1. So whenever we set the cursor, this will pass in the cursor thing. Set focus, cursor 1 or 2. And what we should do is something like if self cursor ID equals 2 and mouse button 1 input, oops. Let's see if that does it real quick. I think I broke input, but we'll fix that in a minute. I don't know. Doesn't like that. Oh, I know why. There's two things that's going wrong here. First off, I need to add this. I need to redo the sprite database, or whatever I call this sprite thing. Then I need to, if I come back into here, so now that's, oops, shit. Oh, see, I curse all the time. It's hard to like not curse while you're coding. All right, so that's this. That's what we want it to look like. So we need to figure out right now, when we go to set focus, I have a feeling that clear focus. Here's what I wanted to do. I wanted to Where's the mouse cursor? Cursor ID. I wanted to put this in here. So this is the cursor data. What I wanted to do was, let's take this hand down. And we're going to change this up a little bit. This is the cursor data. Cursor data. All right, so if we're going to look for is that if the cursor ID equals 2 and the mouse button down, which I think is just the default input state, so I don't need to like duplicate this. What I want to do is I want to change the sprite data to equal hand cursor down. Right? Isn't that what I called that thing? SB sprites hand cursor hand down. So the mouse will take care of switching to this special state, and or not. Sprite data. Where's the console? Tools, Windows. There should be like a console window that shows me the output log. Like it's not the event, it's not this. It's not version control, terminal. Oh yeah, it is right here. Okay, this is the console. Let's clear this. And let's refresh this. I just want to see if we're getting the mouse down. It's funny, this little thing that I wanted to do before I took a break is now becoming this like gigantic pain in the butt. Print. Let's see if it gives us the cursor ID while it's printing. All right, so now this is set to 2. So what I wanted to see next was on here what the, oh, you know why? It's mouse button 0. God, like Lua is driving me nuts because so, like I'm so used to in Lua like indexes being starting at 1. All right, so this is down. So this should now be showing me the next sprite. So why is this not switching to cursor hand down? Let's try another cursor just to make sure that maybe like it didn't find the sprites correctly. Nope. That's really weird. Why wouldn't that switch? Clear buffer. Cursor is down and it made it invisible. All right. Alrighty then. So hand cursor down. Cursor hand down. Maybe I spelled it wrong. Because then it takes this sprite data and pulls out this. Ah, look at this. Sprite data. I'm an idiot. So what I need is this sprite data right here. It was still going back to the reference. And then it'll take the cursor data, the sprite data's width. Perfect. Okay, I just had one little typo. Now, see, look at how cool that is. So that's interesting. So I have to fix the track is only right here because my old bars were I was just looking at the face that somebody posted. Um, the bar is only 8 pixels high, so you lose it right here. That's what that part is. But that little pinching, God. Now just imagine like that pinching is only 2 frames of animation, right? And it adds like it looks like your brain sort of fills in the gap of it closing, and it's just amazing like the way that this stuff like works and how even like these really old techniques from like literally from like the like late 80s are still I find like incredibly impressive today. All right, so we'll have to figure out how to fix the track in a little bit, but damn if I don't want to just sit here and play with these sliders for a while. All right, we're gonna take a quick 5-minute break, and I need to like stretch or something. Like this chair, this isn't gonna work for this weekend. It's 8:15, so let's do 8:20, and we'll set this here, and then I'll be back. Okay. Love how loud that mic is when I turn it back on. Sorry about that. All right, so we've made some progress here. What I might want to do, I just feel like I just want to get everything working at once. I want to add a slider button in, and I don't know if I don't think I have the time to build a slider. So I have to basically I can stream for another 40 minutes, and then I gotta head out. So let's see if we can just fix this slider and get this off the plate. So the other thing about the slider is, let's just look at the input area. So there should be something here where we handle size. There should be a update slider. What I want to make sure is this. Let's go through and let's take a look at the, this creates it at 8, and the height's at 16. So it really should be 16 and 16. If I did this correctly, its width is 16. This should sort of fix itself. I took a screenshot. And let's go back into the workspace. So one of the cool things you do with Pixel Vision is take screenshots. I mean, it seems like a trivial thing, but the screenshots come out at like, it's really just a dump of the video memory. And why this is important is because it gives it to you at the exact, it'll give it to you at the exact pixel perfect ratio. So what we're going to do is we're going to reset the collision area, because I'm pretty sure I did this in a way that was intelligent. So 107, 16, 107. So X. Oh wait, this is the old one. Hold on. Oh, I see what I did. You know what? All right, so I did write this correctly. Okay, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna take a screenshot right now. Let's move these guys to neutral. Take a screenshot, and then come into here and look at this one. All right, so we're gonna align this up with what it is here. So this is 8107. 8107. So what this does is this rectangle right here is the coordinate, is the actual, like, the hit rect for the whole slider. And that needs to match up with what the graphics are. So the width of this guy, it should be the same. The width of it's going to be 112. And the height 16, but what I've done is I've now moved the Y down, and we'll do the same thing over here for this guy. So it's X and Y. We need the top left-hand corner is going to be 236104. So 236104, and the height is the same. The width is now 16. And if we come back and we redo this, all right, so we should be good now. All we need to do is change the offset now. So now in the slider, I think I should be able to pass in an horizontal offset. And what we'll do is it's offset or 0. So if we pass in 0, it should align it to the center point. But what you can see is that the horizontal one is going to be off by 1. And I wonder if that's just because I did my math wrong. So let's go here and make this 5, which actually probably makes more sense. Oh, there we go. We don't have to do that stupid offset crap anymore, but we'll leave it in there anyways. Oh, Sorry, I'm just like, I can't get over how great that hand cursor is. I might only do it for things where you drag, but I don't know. I'll have to talk to CastPixel about what she wants. We do a button, we'll see how that goes. So, all right, so this works now exactly how it should. So the next thing is that we can create a back button and a next button. And those buttons should be palette swapped, but they're probably not. So we're gonna have to do, we're probably gonna do some like preemptive stuff here. Okay, all right, I'm just like really happy with the way this turned out. All right, so let's look at the next buttons that I want to do. How do we want to do this next? All right, let's get rid of this texture packer. We don't need this anymore. I don't need Chrome open. Get rid of this screenshot. I just want to like start like organizing myself a little bit here. We don't need this. We don't need this. We don't need this. I mean, the steppers would be good to make, I guess. Button states. So there's two kinds of steppers we can use. I think checkboxes are what we should do next. Checkboxes are going to be pretty straightforward because they're just going to be sprites. So like what we'll do is let's just do this. This is just going to be pretty manual stuff. I'm going to put this guy over here on this side. I'm not doing any, well, I'm not going to do any palette swapping for them. It's too much to deal with. I mean, I could do palette swapping for the radio buttons, but it's going to be too annoying. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at the old sprite thing, and there should be like check buttons or something. Let me see here. Action, checkbox selected up and over, checkbox up. All right, so we're going to start with checkbox up. So this is the checkbox up. We're just going to save this into the sprite builder folder. It's checkbox one word. One word. Okay, that's why we keep Chrome open. So I can spell check. So checkbox up. Oh, you know, I'm an idiot. I could have just figured this out from also here code. Let's do so there should be one that's like a toggle button group. That's a toggle button. Create a toggle button group. That's a whole different thing. Pagination buttons. Checkboxes. Toggle group. All right, so we're gonna do this one of two ways. First off, we're gonna start with this uses checkbox. She's not going to be happy with this if I make them check. But these are actually going to be radio boxes, so we're going to have to just do this correctly. So let's technically, like the way that it works, the radio buttons and checkboxes are exactly the same. The only difference is that when you have a checkbox, it's an individual selection. A radio button means that it's usually a group, and then one of them deselects the other one deselect. So I'm going to start with checkboxes, then I'll do radio buttons, and we'll swap them out, and we'll just make sure everything works. So this one should actually have been disabled. So this would be a checkbox disabled. Let me just make sure I got this right. Yeah, I can't spell. So that's disabled. This is up. Whoops. That's up. Now, okay, I see what you did. That's over. That's going to show you that it's going to be a check. It's just like a preview of checking. Over. And then I just want to make sure I got the name for this correct. I believe it is selected up. Checkbox selected up. And checkbox selected over. All right, so that'll be the basics for this. What I just need to make sure now is that we are updating the checkbox toggle group. So let's just make sure we're updating that. And now if we rerun this, I need to add the sprites. All right, so we just need to put them here into the put them here, and then we'll do the sprite builder to add them into the database. But as you can see, like I'm actually like I think my UI framework is holding up pretty damn well. I didn't really build it, at least I guess in my head I knew I was going to reskin it at some point, but I don't know how, like I guess I planned ahead enough that it's not like totally blowing up on me. So that's exciting. Let's go here, we'll save this, and now let's come into here, go into the sprites, and we'll rebuild the sprite index thingy. Quit this. Yeah, that would have been impossible to do with color or with palette shifting, and it's not even worth it for like the area where you could do palette shifting. If this was a real Nintendo, I would basically, there we go, look, those are check buttons. If this was a real Nintendo, I would be, looks so good. What we should do is we should make one check boxes and the other one radio buttons. So we'll go in and we'll fix it. And that click is so good. Like it adds so much to it. Man, so happy. So happy. Okay, we'll do this. And we're going to do the other one as radio buttons now. And then I'll show off how radio buttons will work. So here we're going to save this into Sprite Builder. And we'll do radio button. Is it radio button or radio? Radio button is a graphical control element that allows the user to choose only one of a radio. Okay, so I always thought it was a radio for some reason. Radio button. Learn something new every day. Radio button up. This is radio button disabled. Save. Radio up. Over. And this is selected over, or selected up, selected up, and selected over. All right, so that's that. Oh, we need to copy these now all over to the sprites. It would help if I actually copied them correctly. All right, I think, yeah, we're going to finish up these buttons, and then that's probably where I'm going to end for the morning. But later this afternoon, when I get out of work, I will come back and finish up the other stuff. So what we'll do is we'll get these going. Right now, it doesn't really matter where these things sit in the sprite sheet, because it's all going to be optimized anyways, but what we do need to make sure is that they're all there. So we'll put this sprites into here, and then let's rebuild the sprite builder thing, and we'll make the radial and check buttons like she has it in her comp. Super excited. I can't wait to like build out the new tools and all the new UI. All right, so here are our check boxes. What we're going to do is let's go to the code, and we're going to create a new thing here. So we're going to take this and we're going to copy this here. These are going to be check boxes. We're going to call these radio buttons. A radio button group. And we'll put this here, 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 and here. And let's do this. We're going to set this to true. And X, we're going to keep these two. I want this to be here. So actually we'll make the checkboxes first and the radio buttons second. And what I want to get to is there should be an update for checkbox group. We'll make this radio button group. And then the only thing we need to change here, so right now if we left this as is, what would happen is if we refresh this, you see how it like only lets you select one? We just need to fix the graphics. So good. I love it. I love it when a plan comes together. It's a nice 80s A-Team reference for the non-millennials in the audience. So all we need to do now is change this sprite to radio button. And we'll delete this and this. Delete this and this. And there's an on check thing. We're going to do this as on radio button. So I'm missing, hold on, I'm missing a plugin here. Editor, install. Minimap highlight selected. Minimap selection. There we go. Well, that should give me on checkbox. Maybe it is selected. No, it's not showing. I don't know why it's not working. Maybe I have to restart Atom for those plugins to work. But what we're going to do is we're going to create a radio button. And we're just going to sort of replace this stuff. I'm going to call this radio. I think it just, I think in this case, we'll just do a radio button value was selected. Sure, why not? I don't have the message displaying yet, and we don't need any of this. It should just be very simple. A radio button, you just know which one is, you just get the ID. All right. There we go. Whoops. Now, why isn't that working? Let's look at the sprite IDs. Selected up. Radio button. Selected up. 120. Why are we not getting that sprite? I feel like I don't have this correct. Let me yeah, I messed up something here. Button states up over selected and over. I think there's a mess up here. So let's do this. Where's my notes? Radio button selected is the same as up. So what we should do is selected should be like dark or something. I'll just change it right now, and then like now it's selected, and then selected over would be that, but it would be selected over would be this. Whoops, I keep doing the same stupid thing. There we go. Hey, welcome to the stream. JMSWRNR. I don't know what that is short from, or how to phonetically pronounce that. Radio button selected is over. Does not have selection. All right, save that, and I'll just do these by hand, and I'm sure Caspix will be James Warner. Yeah, I figured there's a. It was that, or I didn't know if it was like Wiener. So, not to make fun of your name, it's just it could be anything with the internet these days. All right, let's put for selected here. We're going to. I'll just do this here, and then. So that one is save. References, sprite builder, radio button selected up, and then let's copy this over to our sprites. Yeah, I guess it was just a little mess up. I'll have Caspixel tell me if she's cool with this, and then the next one is this, and so normally I just go in and I fix these things myself. So that's sort of what we do with when I worked with Pedro Saint 11. When we first did Pixel Vision 8, basically he came up with the visual language, but a lot of it he wound up getting really busy with Celeste, and I had to finish up everything. So I just did all the other UI myself. I have a background in computer art, so it's not. Or in art in general, but so it wasn't. Something is wrong here. I want to make sure I did this correct. Let me look at the sprite builder stuff. I have to end soon, anyways. And my attention span is like running out, so that's probably not helping either. But we should have radio button up, selected over, and over should be empty, right? Because then we come here and we have empty. Oh, wait, I kind of think I see what she's doing. I think I just realized what Caspixel was doing. What happens is this guy. So when she's previewing. No, but that doesn't make any sense. The selected one should be like this. The highlight should be like this. Okay, that's what it is. When you roll over it, this is empty. When you roll over it, it shows you you're going to highlight it. You click it, you get the dark, and then when you roll back over it, it's going to show you that you're going to empty it out. So let's just make sure that that's what we have here. So then radio button over, these are reversed. All right, this is going to be a little messy for a second. I'm going to make this over. She's going to have to okay all this. See, I was saying, like, normally I would just go in and sort of make this up as I go along, but CastPixel has like a plan for all this stuff, and I need to make sure I'm following the plan correctly. So let me just make sure I'm not screwing this up, because now I kind of get what's going on. All right, so you have up. That's the up state. Nothing is selected. Over. Then I did this stupid stuff myself. All right, whatever. We're going to do it like this for now, and I'll deal with this later. Nice sprites. Thanks. So it's all CastPixel's work. Let's save this out. I'm going to save this out. Then I'm going to redo the builder. Rerun this. Redo the builder. Yeah, I'm not getting the right graphics. What the hell is going on? How did I screw this up? I'm missing the selection one. So did I not put this in here correctly? Over selected, button selected up. And in the sprites, that should be that. So what did I do wrong here? Save this. This one and this one, are they too similar and Pixel Vision 8 can't tell the difference between them? That's interesting. I think there's a bug with Pixel Vision 8. Because I bet you if I did this and saved it, I think it's just like a slight little problem with its indexing, where it can't tell the difference between the two really similar. Nope, I lied. It's just not seeing this at all. So am I not? Oh, you know what? $5 says I'm saving it to the wrong folder. Like I'm putting it in the Sprite Builder folder. There we go. That's going to cause a problem. All right, so where the hell is the sprites? Let's get rid of this guy. Still early. It's technically 5:33 a.m. There we go. Look at all the different states. How novel. All right, now we're going to redo the builder. Quit this. There we go. So the good news is that the radio button actually doesn't need a selected up because the button gets disabled. So there's no way to uncheck it. That's what a radio button is. So what I'm going to do to just keep life easy is remove those states. So we don't need these two states. Well, we do need selected. We just don't need selected over. We'll leave it in anyways. It's not going to hurt anyone. All right, so those are the radio buttons right there. And these are checkboxes. So the checkboxes, you need that. All right, cool. So we accomplished a lot this morning. We got we cleaned up the palettes. We did these. We added our first button, which is all palette swapped now. So basically there's only one button sprite, and as you roll on and off, it just changes those colors. We added the radio buttons. And at this point, other buttons should be pretty straightforward to add. So like, Let's see, what do I have like 10 minutes. I gotta start getting ready to go to the gym. But technically the gym is at 7, so I have another, well, I don't know, it's 15 minutes away from here, so I gotta do stretches. But before I tell you all about my workout routine, which no one really gives a shit about, let's see. I should be able to just knock out this mute button real quick. So this is going to be in the Sprite Builder folder, and we're going to call this mute disabled. And we'll save it. Sorry if you hear the cord from my headphones. There's something so satisfying with that scroll bar thing. I know, it's... We must have had like a dozen revisions of the scroll bar, and I don't think I'm that happy with the track right now, but it's fine. I know what she's going for to make it simple, but it's got such a weight to it, and the shadow is perfect. Like the mouse cursor being able to like pinch it and drag it. It's if you don't follow Castpixel, Castpixel on Twitter, then you're like missing out. She's hands down one of the best pixel artists like I've ever seen, and I've been working with her for years, and she's amazing. I'm waiting for her to have her breakout moment because she's like, I worked with Saint 11. I've been working with Saint 11 for years as well. I've known both of them probably for like 7 or 8 years now. And Saint 11 and Amora, who make up Mini Boss Studio, did Towerfall, the artwork for Towerfall, and then Celeste, and they do all that stuff with Null. And I feel like they've had like a really good breakout moment. I'm waiting for Castpixel's like due for a breakout moment because her stuff is just unreal. It's amazing. Mute over. Like when you see all this UI stuff together, and when I like finally build it out the way it's supposed to, selected up, it's going to be amazing. And it's funny. Like I was working with Saint 11 for all this stuff, and we both created the original like design language for Pixel Vision, the current version of Pixel Vision 8. But the problem is that he just got so busy with Celeste that I wound up losing him to that project. Which Celeste is like an amazing game, so I'm not angry at all. Not bitter. So here's like the problem with these kind of buttons. They're very, like, you can't really dynamically generate them. So you just have to sort of throw them down and hope for the best. I could probably do this with palette swapping, but I don't, it may not even be worth it. Like the scroll bar is something that's like really simple. Yeah, Saint 11's pixel art stuff is great too. His definitely like support them on Patreon and stuff. I think Saint 11 like really he nailed that, like I mean he's the one who really started that whole like pixel art GIF thing, and he does an amazing job with it. All right, so what I want to do is I figured we'll see real quick. We'll give myself like another like 5 or 10 minutes, and we're going to need some like crack my back. Create button, stepper, mute. All right, we're going to try the toggle button. So we'll put this here. I need to find the other mute where we update the mute button, which is right here. And mono game. I'm just hoping that this just, well, it should work if I had actually updated the sprites. So let's rebuild the sprite database. All right, builder, done. Boom. Wow, that works pretty good. I could probably do the pagination buttons too. I mean, for the most part, my framework's pretty, like, as long as you follow the naming conventions, everything should just work as it did before. I love this disabled stuff now. Oh, it looks so good. And the weight, the shadow she put on these buttons to make them feel like they come off. Like when I am itching to build, where is it? I'm like really itching to build this one out. This is our sound generator board, and it looks awesome. Like it's just pure, like, I don't know, it's like such a good like mix between pixel art and like tactile like design, and it feels very 80s. So that's going to be awesome to build. And once I get the, I think later, what I'll do is later tonight I'm going to build out the, I'll build out the knob buttons now that I have the slider working, because they're basically just sliders that instead of it sliding left and right, it just changes to an angle. Once I add those in, it's going to be like, I'll be able to knock a lot of these tools out pretty quickly. What are the other tools? So I haven't posted any of this stuff online because, quite frankly, I was just afraid of people like stealing it, like stealing the idea. Yeah, like saying like right now, I could probably redo the entire input field, the entire text editor. I have everything I need right now. I have the scroll bars and the main input field. We should be good to go. So that tool would take me like no time at all to build. I'll do all that stuff with Ludum Dare. The one that I'm really trying to do is I want to get this settings tool knocked out, so that when you escape out of a game, if you're playing a game, it will show you the controller mappings and allow you to change like the resolution and all that stuff. So, all right, what was I doing before I distracted myself? I was talking about doing the pagination buttons. I think the pagination buttons though, I'm going to, let me take a look at that for a second. The pagination buttons are a little more complicated. We have to create all the pagination buttons. All that stuff is straightforward. In fact, this should just run without the without the artwork for the pagination buttons. They're like right around here somewhere. I think like that's changing them. I don't remember. So I can't see them. Oh, that click is so satisfying. Okay. What I want to do though, so these are toggle buttons. It's tough. Like I really wanted to, I really wanted a lot of the UI to use the palette swapping stuff, but it's really hard to justify for something as simple as like these one-off elements. So let's get rid of these buttons here. right, so this is probably the only thing that's going to hold me back. On the buttons is that I don't have versions for every number, and I don't have 8. But let's just try to like let's just try to start with it. Now, the way that this worked previously was that there is a there's like there's a very specific pattern to it, and what it is that there's a border on the left-hand side. I'm trying to look at the time and think if I have enough time for this. 6:20. Yeah, I should have enough time. All right, let's just try to get like the basics in place and just see what happens. I just love this stuff, but I definitely need to get to the gym. All right, so this right here is the border, and what we want to do is I got to look up what this was called. So I said I said that really New Yorker, like what that's called. Page. I think what winds up happening, if I remember this correctly, is that I actually I don't use this. Let's just do the numbers, and then we'll go from there. Because I think I need to build this out and put this as part of the. All right, so this is. We're going to start with 1, and then I'll do the other numbers later. So this is going to be sprite builder. Ugh, I need like up, over, and all that other crap. So this is going to be called page. So let's do this. This is going to save me a lot of time. Let's create a new file, and we're going to call this page. Whoops. Really, Photoshop? You don't understand how to page button. Son of a. I don't know why they think that clicking once should automatically highlight that input field. Speaking of like UI. All right. Let's do this. We'll just do it like this. We're going to create this file, paste this guy in, or not. I'm going to save this, and now this should save me some time from having to rename this stuff. So page button 1 disabled. And that's tough because that's. All right, so this. All right, Caspexel didn't give me what I needed for these buttons. But I can do it based on what she gave me here. So what I need to do is all right, we'll do it this way. I'm gonna draw it real quick how she has it. Basically what happens is that the upstate for the button is gonna look like this. Shoot, let's just draw it. It'll be easier to draw this way. So it's 1, 2, 3. So that's 1. So that's up, basically. 1 up. then over I really don't understand what you did here. Up. All right, selected makes sense. So like what I wanted it to be was that when you that should be up and over. There is no selected over for that. Unless her idea was that as you rolled over, I think up should be all these. And then if you roll over it, it comes down and highlights. That doesn't make any sense. I think over is going to be this. I'll send this back to her and get her thoughts, and she'll tell me that I'm completely wrong. Right? Because I want to like highlight it, but it's still under the shadow, so I think she's right. Okay, I think over is this. Hey, good morning. Local time. Yeah, more or less. All right, so over is this. And then selected is this. Okay, that makes sense. Fine. All right, I like that. We'll deal with that. So this is page button 1 over. Yeah, I don't have any bots set up. I've been like super lazy after I reset up my channel. I don't even have like the overlays and stuff. What local time? You want to know my local time? Right now it's 6 a.m. But usually I stream from New York, so it's 9 a.m. Page button 1 selected. Okay, so that's where we are right now, right? So sorry, let's copy this. All right, this is gonna be a little weird, but let's just try to put this into here and just see what the hell happens. We'll put this here. Over. And selected. Oh, I need to, that was, I need up. I don't have up. That was up. All right, so that's it, not selected. If you roll over it, it pulls down and shows you the highlighted number, and then if you select it, it becomes flush with the UI. And thanks for preparing for Ludum. Well, I'm trying to prepare myself. I can't prepare anyone else. Although hopefully the keynote was good. I saw somebody like, I think like 2 people gave me like a thumbs down, so I don't know. Guess everyone's a critic. All right, so I'm gonna save this. I don't think this is gonna work unless we have 2 buttons. So let's just see if we can whip together 2 buttons, because 2, this is where it gets a little funky. All right, so first off, 2 disabled is this. So let's just save this as button 2 disabled. And I'll paste this into the sprite thing to save us some time. Then this is where everything starts falling apart. So what I need is over, but I'm going to have to put a 2 there instead. Yes, I can draw within the lines. I have to, I'm not 100% sure how she would have done this, but I think it, no, it would be, maybe it'd be like that. Pfft, fuck if I know. Hope I win it. I doubt I'm going to win it. I don't even, right now my plan isn't even to, I don't even care what the theme is. I need the time to build out, hold on a second, over. I need the time to build a game that shows off Pixel Vision 8, so I'm most likely just going to do my own thing and call it a day, which is fine. Like, you could do that too in Pixel Vision, in Ludum Dare. That's like the best part of Ludum Dare, so you can sort of do whatever the hell you want. Ugh. All right, I'll ask Cas Pixel what she wants for these numbers. But that should be save to selected up. And I forgot to copy this crap over. Let me, page button. What I want to make sure is that this is selected up. My UI framework has a very specific naming convention, so once you do the naming convention, everything else should just sort of work. Just open these guys up, and we'll copy them over to the sprites. I'm drawing stuff here. I don't know why. What else did I need? Don't save. I just need the button 2 disabled. I don't have button 2 up, which would be that. No, that's disabled. I need, I gotta text her and have her set this stuff up. It's here, it's right here. I need all the button states for this. All right, we're almost, I'm almost out of time. I've had like a pretty good amount of people watching the stream this morning. Have a good one, Ant. Sprites. And we can put this here and save this as up. So button 2 up. All right, so that's sort of my plan for right now. Let's save this, and we'll put this into the game folder. Then I need to rebuild the sprite index for the new buttons, and then hopefully they'll just show up. They're showing up here, which is good. And then we'll have paginated buttons working too, which is always helpful. Look at that. So good. All right, so all I need to do now is, so that's, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. So if I come into the tile map, let's go here. All I need to do is copy this here, go to the tile map, and it should be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'll put this here. It's a little deceptive because I'm going to mask it off. But what I'll do is I'll copy this over, and in the sprites here for the buttons, we'll put this guy here. Well, we can put it right there. And if we save this, I have to rebuild. I'm going to have to rebuild the sprites, but that's fine. And the tile map, let's save out the tile map. And now come back here, one last step, and then we're going to wrap it up. So I definitely got to get out of here soon. All we need to do now is do the builder. I got to fix those percentage signs. I don't know why that's not displaying correctly. But we'll run this. And now, you don't see the other side. Why don't you see that? That's frustrating. Did I not save this? Save. Tile map PNG. Replace. Oh, maybe it's maybe because it's not in the right place. All right, let's save this and put this here. There we go. There's the edge now. Although it does do some weird stuff here. All right, I'll have to look into that later. That edge is a problem because it's 1 pixel too big. Yeah. All right. We'll have to talk to. I'll have to talk to Cast Pixel about that. At least that's actually like a good point. It should be interesting if it was a. It shows that glitch error, but whenever there's an error, it now just shows a. It shows an actual error screen. Like here. If I came here and just added some like stuff like that and saved it and came back, it just goes in and shows you this error. Oh, I forget, he's deaf, so he can't hear me. So that's not good. So anyways, all right, I've accomplished my mission and then some. Later today, I'll fix these buttons. We'll do paginated buttons. I got radio buttons in. I need to bring the fonts over. We got toggle buttons. We're able to enable and disable stuff. I could probably start building out a good chunk of the UI. I'm probably going to clean up the UI framework. So yeah, there's a lot to do. Unfortunately, I have to get to work. Well, I have to go to the gym, and then I have to get to work. So I'm going to do that, and then I'll be back probably around like, I don't know, 4 o'clock Pacific time, which is probably like way too late for anyone who's up this time. But I'll stream a little bit later today, and we'll get the rest of we'll try to get the rest of the UI knocked out today, because then that means next week I could just start building out tools, which would be awesome. Man, I'd almost rather like skip Ludum Dare and build Pixel Vision 8, but I can't do that. I got to build the game, and I got to make sure that the Pixel Vision 8 is working. So, all right, thanks everyone for watching. I'm gonna pack it up and head on out, and I will be around later today.